Yo, what is up, chat? How's everyone doing? That was an odd cut. Once again, we forgot to turn on the transition, so that looked weird. But how's everyone doing? Welcome back to another episode of After the After Hours with your boy TraderPrad. Hopefully, everyone had a wonderful weekend. Pretty uneventful Monday, should I say, or I guess depending on what stock you were watching, was pretty eventful. I took the day off from the markets today. I just kind of stayed home, had some chores to do, had some other things in life to make some calls and so on. So I had to stay back, stay away from the market, but I still got to watch the market move around in the shadow realm. And I got to notice that Google made a monster move to the upside, Nvidia made a monster move to the upside, Tesla moving back up, markets generally moving back up today. Market QQQ almost up, I believe, 1%. SPY almost up another half a percent or so. So markets were generally up. That's good. We are all wondering how it plays out going into the big event coming up on Wednesday, which is FOMC. Usually the day before FOMC, we're used to seeing the markets not do too much. That is the expectation going into tomorrow, right? Every Tuesday before the FOMC Wednesday, the market does maybe move in the pre-market a little bit and then dies down going on through the rest of the day. So not pre-market, off the open a little bit and then dies off through the rest of the day. But Wednesday should be a little bit more fireworks, especially this Wednesday coming up because FOMC. We're waiting to see if Papa Powell and company are going to raise interest rates or cut interest rates, or are they going to talk about pausing interest rates a little bit longer. Last time they said they were going to pause it till May. Maybe this time they said they're going to pause it a little bit longer past May. So a lot of questions over here as to how the FOMC committee is going to set up for this big interest rate decision on the 20th of March. But we still got a couple movers tomorrow. Lots of earnings names still coming out. Was surprised to see the earnings board pretty busy, so we'll show you the earnings board. Lots of names still on there for us to kind of keep an eye out for. Other stocks that previously announced earnings, we got stocks like DKS, Oracle at pretty decent levels, so we'll take a look at those stocks. And obviously some of the stocks that I already mentioned that are also in the description over here in the title, such as Google, Apple, Nvidia, all those AI names always coming into play. That partnership with Apple and Google was a pretty big one. I thought Apple would easily make their own AI without a problem because of the amount of data that Apple has with all their customers and so on. But no, it looks like they're gonna need help with Google, or at least they're gonna partner with Google to try and make a better Gemini overall, and then include Gemini into other future iPhones. That was an article from Bloomberg, or at least Bloomberg is quoting that. Now, we haven't had Apple come out and say that themselves, but overall, that little catalyst brought Google all the way back to almost all-time high, and waiting to see if tomorrow it can come to that level a little bit closer or not. But yeah, that's pretty much all our watch list for tomorrow, and we have a nice little video to watch at the end of the episode over here. Another one from Investors Underground, a channel that we found out last Friday. Always wanted to. I like what they do on their small caps and so on, so I want to learn more about small caps. So Investor Underground is something that we're going to watch together over here today at the end of the stream for those of you who was hanging out still. People in the chat at the moment, we got TH, David Fabian from Germany. Guten Tag, David, how you doing? Angry Buddha in the house, what's up? Angry Dieter coming back later, no problem. Swimmer, what's up, buddy, how you doing? Hopefully you guys all had a wonderful, wonderful weekend to start off with. But let's get the party going. To the markets we go. Let's bring in the watch list screen. Why did I say it so weirdly? Let's bring in the watch list screen over here for tomorrow. We got a pretty small watch list, like I mentioned already. XPEV, stocks like TME and CNM. These are the stocks announcing earnings pre-market. DKS and Oracle already came out with earnings. DKS popping into a new all-time high and forming a nice little base into the earnings low. So pretty interested to see how we play off with the earnings low over there on DKS. Oracle, AMD, MU, ARM, a lot to basically are those those your semiconductor stocks, including Oracle. We got your semiconductor stocks over here, and then the AI and the other magnificent seven, such as Apple, Google, Meta, Microsoft, all those Mag 7 stocks that we always like to take a look at. Pretty small watch list. Don't really expect the market to move around tomorrow at all. But let's get started with maybe seeing how some of these stocks are currently at. Starting with XPEV. XPEV holding off in a pretty good up range, reversing the trend. We have been, kind of crashing on XPEV, crashing on NIO. Li Auto was a little bit of a whole different. Li Auto almost went into its own all-time high, but then came right back down over here, sadly. But Li Auto was doing a little bit of its own different move off its previous competitors. But overall, we're waiting to see how XPEB with this earnings report comes out tomorrow. I think we already got a little bit of their delivery numbers along with other companies that posted at the same time. So we already know the numbers over here for delivery. Some of the move might be baked in, but it'll be interesting to see how a stock whose ATR is 6 cents comes into play tomorrow, to the upside or to the downside. At the moment, honestly, going right off the 6 cent ATR, I'm just not interested in trading the stock. But if we do get a breakout into this $13, $14, and we start playing with those ranges, maybe it gets a little bit exciting for us to take a look at what's going on with XPEB. More importantly, in the Chinese sector of earnings tomorrow, I think TME is the stock where I might want to be a little bit interested. TME has an ATR of, no way. Maybe my scraper is scraping the wrong information. Okay, in that case, XPEV is not 6 cents. My ATR is grabbing the wrong... Okay, it is 60 cents, but it just grabbed the wrong information. What the hell, scraper? Oh, that's because I grabbed 10% of the ATRs. I'm an idiot. Let me fix my ATRs. There we go. So 60 cents ATR for XPEV. That seems a little bit better. A TME 42 cent ATR, but it's almost at its 52-week high over here. Looking to see how the stock trades at that 52-week high area. And if we do clear that, we got a little bit more room to the upside. This is Tencent Music Group and CNM almost at its all-time high, or if I remember correctly, at its all-time high right now. So waiting to see how this stock, which has a decent amount of volume, core and main distribution services, wholesale distributors, all three of these stocks report earnings tomorrow pre-market. Waiting to see how they show up in the pre-market for us to see if there's extra R-roll, if there's actually some levels to play off of on the 60-minute time frame, on the 15-minute time frame, and then we're gonna look for some good patterns, good support patterns, good bearish patterns to trade off of with actionable risk. So watching these three stocks tomorrow in pre-market. But along with those three stocks, as I mentioned not too long ago, we got DKS on the board. Let me actually turn off that bad boy right there. What the hell is that? Moving average ribbon? Okay. So DKS, watching how DKS sets up tomorrow or even going forward, you can see on the past few days, today and on Friday, we held the earnings day low picture perfect. Did not really break that earnings day low, and looks like we want to keep going up to the north side. This high that we made on the earnings day, however, was the new all-time high. So I think there is some resistance into that area if we do push back there. But if we do push back there and we don't see enough selling coming into play, there could be an option for us to look for a bigger breakout past that $223 on DKS. And if we do pull all the way back to today's low, which was once again right at the earnings day low, which is around 208, 208.50. I think we got a good long opportunity, but vice versa. If you flip the coin, if the supports showed up on the day one, showed up on the day two, don't show up on day three, then there's a decent amount of gap over here for us to close to the downside all the way back down to 190 on DKS. So I think watching this stock, sadly, the volume for a $200 position, only trading on an average 30-day volume of 17 million shares, not the best amount of average volume. But if we see the levels coming into play, and then you can keep your risk very tight, very cheap shots, I think you'll be able to get a nice little bagger over there. Just got to be patient at the right levels. Be patient at the right levels. That way we can have the market make our decision for us. And for me, that's going to be this whole 208.50 to 208 area. Actually, I want to see how the stock traded in the after hours today, and looks like it didn't really go below 208 at all in the after hours. We traded up to the whole to the north side the whole day. ever since we trusted the 208. So that looks pretty good. But overall, day 1 and day 2, we are trading under the earnings anchored VWAP, which is not the best, but looking like we are getting ready to reverse that trend, especially if the market continues this upside rally we're on. QQQ, even though pulled back today, up 0.8%, sorry. And S&P 500, even though pretty much looks the same, pulled back for the whole day today, still up 0.59%. So pretty bullish move over here on the market. I guess the intraday move, not really that bullish if you look at it, right? Not really that bullish of a move on the intraday, but overall, pop up in the pre-market and the nice little hold and not really turning it completely red, which we've seen the markets do a lot, which we've seen markets do quite a bit. Going to Oracle, another stock that kind of did what DKS did, but not truly in the fashion of DKS, because it broke all-time high, yes, but it didn't really start finding support in the new all-time high area, pulled back into some of the ranges where DKS has already traded in. You can see how the earnings anchored VWAP has come into support multiple times, and today we actually gap right back into that 130 zone. So watching that 130 area on Oracle tomorrow, if it comes into play, especially once again with the market roars to the north side, we got Oracle joining that party most likely and having some fun to the upside for us. So I don't want to miss out that trade. I'm actually going to set an alert right into maybe I mean, yeah, you know what, let's expand a little bit more. I'll put an alert right there into 129.20, and then once I get alerted on that stock as the stock is going into the previous all-time high of 129.30, 129.50ish or so, I'll then wait to see how the stock reacts at 130. If there's a nice pattern into the breakout of 130, I might take that 130 breakout for a nice little move to the north side. Now this one a lot different than DKS in terms of liquidity, 10 million shares on an average 30-day scale and into its all-time high yet once again. So we could either get a beautiful breakout of this all-time high area, or we get a nice little rejection of it and an opportunity to get short, or a failed breakout. So I'm watching for all these possible scenarios that can open up for us on Oracle at this 130 zone. But sadly, that is the end for our earnings board. But I did say that the earnings board was a little bit busy, so let me show you how the earnings board looks like for the rest of the week. We talked about XPeng, we talked about TME, we talked about CNM. Today, after hour names, none of them were actually that interesting for me to take a look at, so I just ignored them all. Tomorrow after hours, the same case, sadly, nothing really that stands out to me. But we got Wednesday pre-market, Pinduoduo, General Mills, both of the stocks which, you know, I'm very interested to see how they move around. Pinduoduo, that Asian sector which has been kind of booming, but I think this whole Temu case kind of bringing down Pinduoduo. I think Pinduoduo is Temu if I remember correctly. Yeah, there you go. So this whole Temu stuff is kind of hurting. China, TikTok stuff is kind of hurting Pinduoduo too, I believe. Obviously, TikTok getting banned, or I'm not sure if it's 100% banned, but TikTok getting banned and so on, coming into play. Jinko Solar, something that I remember trading quite a bit. So we got some stocks coming up into play again for the earnings board. Micron, Wednesday afternoon. Chewy, Wednesday afternoon. Guess also, okay, just look at that earnings board actually getting interesting one more time. LUNR, if you guys remember, was very much in play recently with their lunar rover landing that went south side. Sadly, that landing failed. That stock was a little bit active. Nike, Lululemon, FedEx coming up with Thursdays. Sadly, nothing on Friday. Is Friday a day off on the market? I hope not. Let's actually go find out. NYSE holidays 2024. Looks like it is. Oh wait, no, that's not this Friday. That's next Friday. So this Friday is not actually a long weekend, but next Friday we do have 29th of Friday off. Good Friday, ladies and gentlemen. So exciting week again over there, I guess, going into the end of March. Yeah, that will be the end of March. 28th March will be the last trading day, as the 29th will be off for us. Good thing we looked into that. But I thought this Friday was off based on how that calendar set up. But nope, nothing on that side. But coming back to our watch list, now we have basically stocks that are in the hot sector, in the hot seat, should we call it. One of them stocks is AMD pulling back into its previous all-time high area of 185, right about there, and also co-intersects with that earnings anchored VWAP. You can see how the earnings anchored VWAP 184.61 right there, coming into play. So 185, 184.50, nice little support coming into play on AMD. And if AMD does pull back to that 185/184.50, could keep an eye out to see if we get another opportunity to go long. That was the previous area where AMD was struggling to break out, and we kind of, made a nice little flag. A bull flag came in. We break out of the bull flag. Now, if you ignore the time frame, which is the daily, and kind of think of it like on a 5-minute time frame, this is a perfect opening range bull flag breakout, pull back to the bull flag high. And now, as long as we continue to find support into this bull flag high, we got more chances to kind of go back into the all-time high and see how we trade in this all-time high area, especially with how Nvidia is moving and how the whole semiconductor in the sector is moving. SMCI going back to the north side one more time. Whoa, SMCI actually sold off big time today, moving back to $1,000. Ooh wee, I thought SMCI was up at one point, but nice little pullback on SMCI now after finally being added to the S&P 500 index. So that should have technically put in the top for the stock, but no top yet for Nvidia. Nvidia still wants to keep rising today, up 0.7%, but sadly right back under $900. Sadly right back under $900. So we'll see if this industry or the sector still stays hot, or has the hype kind of died down now with SMCI already being added to the index and that whole craziness over. Do keep in mind though, Nvidia is having a conference at the moment, GTC 2024 conference, where they're talking about all things their AI capabilities. I think the stock might have actually moved in the after hours a little bit. It looks like it did it to the downside, not really in the direction that I was hoping it did, but overall, they're having a conference at the moment. They're talking about all of their capabilities that the company have in the new advancement with their new GPU. So let's just kind of go through a couple of the key points over here that I found. Key events. Nvidia CEO unveils Blackwell, the new AI platform, could be a game changer. Nvidia CEO says Blackwell GPU will be the most successful launch in company history. Bringing industrial model technology to Apple Vision Pro. Announces AI model for humanoid robot development. Dell announces partnership with Nvidia. Schneider Electric and Nvidia want to standardize data center designs. Okay. Synopsys stocks rises on Nvidia announcements. Oh, okay, Synopsys. Couple of the stocks that have partnerships might be actually interesting to keep an eye out for as to how they might be doing. Dell recently sold off quite a damn bit, but with this whole Nvidia partnership deal, could just help Dell stop crashing to the downside. So I'm gonna put Dell into my watch list to keep an eye out for, to see how this stock is doing. You can see how let me actually just move a couple of my markers, move that over. It's actually creating a really good base into that low. Is that that's not the marker I want? Is that the marker? That's the marker I want. You can see how it's actually creating a pretty good base right now into that low of 104.66, 104 area. And I think if we get the opportunity to keep finding the buy into 104.50, there's an opportunity to get that bounce. Tomorrow we might not even see that see the opportunity to get long through 104.50. This might just blast through 108 if that news is bullish enough. So watching how Dell plays out in the pre-market, with if it can bring in extra volume. It did have a pretty good decent earnings report, but it still lost like 7-10% of its revenue year over year. So I mean, other sections on the ER was bullish, but the company still was losing money year over year. So that's the overall display on the stock market, in my opinion. But that deal with Nvidia, with the stock pulling back into this 21 period EMA, and now kind of trading between the 21 EMA and the 9 EMA, would be nice to see what happens if we burst through the 9 EMA. Do we go back to the earnings anchored VWAP, which is currently at $117? Dell, whose ATR we're gonna have to go scrape real quick, so let's go get that one. And Dell, whose ATR is $5.08, and actually has a decent amount of volume too. So we'll be taking a look to see how the stock sets up with that whole news catalyst. Synopsys was another stock. Anyone know the ticker for Synopsys? SNPS. $500 position. Okay, maybe we're not gonna give a shit about this one, but look at the move on this one in the after hours. Pretty good move. 582 came into play, and the all-time high is 690. Okay, I mean, this stock might just come into play with the $600 area. The average volume is only 1 million. If the stock can bring in some extra volume in the after hours, we might just have to keep an eye out for it. ATR for this one is $15, ladies and gentlemen. SNPS, no real levels other than 600, and the level above 600, which is the all-time high of 630 to come into play. 629.50, 630. I'll just put in 630 and kind of move on from it. But this stock is a pretty light on volume for how much of an expensive stock it is. So you might want to be careful as to how you're trading it. You might want to be very, very tight. Just wait for the right patterns to set up, and then you can build into your position. But right now, with how this AI craziness is going, you've seen how SOUN, when Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, announced that he's going to, or he bought some shares of Sound or something crazy like that, the stock went absolutely haywire. You're seeing SNPS go up in the after hours pretty decently. You're watching Dell make a nice little spike in the after hours too, so something to keep an eye out there. NVIDIA seeks to advance 6G. I thought we were just getting 5G. We're already going to 6G over here. Okay. Wireless through the help of AI. NVIDIA is teaming up with J&J MedTech to advance AI surgery. Okay, there we go. Now we just found another stock to add to our watch list tomorrow. J&J, did you make a move in the after hour at all? You did not, but J&J getting partnership with NVIDIA might actually not be that bad of a catalyst for us to keep an eye out to see if it can give us a trade. So let me just mark in yesterday's high and pull in yesterday's low. Sorry, I did that reverse, but I'm pulled in the right numbers. However, earnings anchored VWAP is already placed for us. I just need to do this one real quick, get that one, go back to the 1 year and pull that one to that day. And now we can kind of watch. We got a beautiful anchor VWAP pinch setup coming also between the last two earnings anchors. So earnings anchor over here, earnings anchor over here. We're clearly finding support at the earnings from the October 2023 earnings, but the January 2024 earnings, we found a little bit of resistance. We broke out, we pulled back, and now we're kind of pulling back into this longer term resistance or longer term support area. So we'll be interested to see how we keep playing within this range, and if we actually pull back above the previous earnings anchor VWAP with this new NVIDIA partnership catalyst, possible move back into this little area of 160 over the longer term area in the bigger picture scale for J&J. So for that, as a day trade, we will need some volume, obviously some volume in the pre-market for us to start seeing the stock into 160 or even 158.60, which is today's high. We'll see if how the stock trades into these highs give us the opportunity to maybe go into 164 or so on that new partnership news. And I think that should be pretty much it. Nope. SAP and NVIDIA announced deal to fine-tune AI models. I don't even know what SAP is. Is that another ticker? Technologies Package Software, SAP. Did you make a move in the after hour? No real move, but we'll keep an eye out for this one too if something happens over here. Keeping in kind of the whole realm with NVIDIA, why don't we just go with NVIDIA? We haven't talked about NVIDIA yet, or did we? I don't think we talked about NVIDIA. So NVIDIA obviously having its conference today. NVIDIA having its conference tomorrow too. I think it's a 2-day conference or a 3-day conference. I actually forget how many days the conference is comprises of, but pretty interesting conference so far. I think there's a pretty good summary videos over there. Plus I haven't really watched the conference myself to give a summary to you, but I've watched a couple summary videos, so I would urge you to go watch those summary videos if you're interested in to see what new AI stuff's coming out. AI Woodstock says Think with Bookmap Chief. I think it's a 3-day. Yeah, that's what I thought so too. 3-day NVIDIA. So possibly in play for the next 3 days coming up over here as they keep unveiling new stuff every single day, maybe new partnerships every single day. So we'll be watching what happens over here for AMD. Why are you dressed for Christmas? Because it's cold as shit in my neighborhood, bruh. It is absolutely cold. Thank you for the $2 super chat. It's like -6 and my house is freezing. At least my room is always freezing. You can see me like how I'm like holding my hands over here. It is freaking cold. As soon as I walk out of my room though, it's hot, but it's just my room is cold because it's like right above the garage. It sucks. My hands are freezing too. Nvidia sort of shaky price action today. I mean, that was kind of the whole market, I guess. The market kind of just flushed on us going into the close. It had a nice little pop off the open, but then it just died off later on. We rejected, what was that? I don't even know what anchor VWAP that is, to be honest. Didn't label them. I'm getting a little lazy these days. I'm not labeling my news anchor VWAPs. That's either the... I would need to guess. I have no clue. So overall, just anchor rewaps either off of the FOMC minutes or some of the other catalysts overall, CPI data or something. At the end of the day, the market just had a nice little pullback later on today and kind of struggling. And I think the market just needs a little bit more juice, a little bit more oomph. It makes sense though. Why would we start bursting out to the north side when we have FOMC coming up very, very soon on Wednesday, 2 o'clock? And the 2:30 we have the conference also. So I think the market is just kind of in a standstill. We do have other important economic events coming out tomorrow. I believe we have the housing number. Yeah, we do have the housing numbers. I looked at it a little bit early. And then this week on Wednesday, as we come out with the FOMC, I think we should have some other numbers too over there on Wednesday. Do we not? Nope, no other numbers on Wednesday except for FOMC. But right after FOMC, we got initial jobless claims on the Thursday after that. So the market expected to move a little bit on Wednesday, without a doubt, at 2 o'clock, in my opinion, depending on what Papa Powell says. But tomorrow, as according to my experiences, the market might make a little bit move in pre-market, might make a move a little bit off the open, but might just chill off going into the close. Might not be too many opportunities. Today was also the first day after the S&P 500 rebalance. So, some of the companies who probably rebalance their portfolios, they're probably just chilling back and sitting back and waiting to see how FOMC comes out too. In my opinion, the big money just sitting back and relaxing. So that's what we're watching at the current state. But even in that case, you got wonderful opportunities coming up on the stock market every single day. You can see how Micron's moving right around this all-time high area. You're watching AMD holding the previous all-time high resistance as the new support. You're watching TSM, who came out with the new catalyst that they're opening up some sort of a factory in Japan, or making a little bit of a move to kind of expand out of Taiwan, just in case what happens. So a couple stocks moving around. We got Apple and what's the other phase? Google. There you go. Apple and Google coming into play. Apple actually breaking out and now using the previous resistance as support. I've been telling you guys, anytime Apple pulls back more than 20% or 15% from all-time highs, it might be a good reason to kind of look for some shares over there. So Apple paying some dividends, pulling back to previous resistance, finding some support there, hopefully, and then we'll see how this partnership with Google, which honestly hasn't even been confirmed, but they made the move like it was a confirmation. It was just a Bloomberg report or a Bloomberg word of mouth that were coming out over here, and a beautiful move on Google, however, right back into all-time high areas. So watching Google, how Google sets up for the next few days, back through 150, going into this 153.70, 154 area on GOOGL. NFLX, we talked about that 630 area coming back into play one more time. So watching how NFLX plays, we also have that beautiful support right into 600 almost on NFLX. I think NFLX going into that whole Mike Tyson, Paul brother, I forget what Jake or I even forget. Logan's the other brother. Yeah, Paul brother, Jake and Tyson fight, which is supposed to be aired on Netflix. I think Netflix will bring in some good amount of subs from that too. So I'm excited to see how Netflix sets up going into these next few days, especially going into that big fight over there. So not a lot of stocks that in the news that we're hyped up about, because obviously we're watching how FOMC sets up. So kind of just being patient. Being cash is a position. Being cash is very much a position. You're not really going out there blowing your money. I think a lot of people today kind of got hyped out with the market move to the north side in pre-market and then got burned by the overall sell-off. Oh, but hey, still up 0.8% on QQ though, still up 0.5% on S&P 500. IWM on the other side of the coin, they're sadly down 0.57% on IWM. Trash Panda, what's up, brother? Swimmer looking for more weakness. That Swimmer, yes, more, yes, weak uptrend all afternoon. Yes, sir, indeed. But that's pretty much our watch list for today, or sorry, should I say tomorrow? Pretty much our watch list for tomorrow. The only 4 stocks that I have as pretty high importance right now are AMD, Dell, Oracle, and DKS. All their stocks will just kind of play by heart, see how they're moving. If they give us a nice little bear flag, bull flag, some sort of a wedge pattern to kind of short off of, long off of, take a breakout off of, some sort of a price action, you know, a high bidder, high seller shows up over there, or if any stock with news shows up, we'll kind of then start taking a look at those bad boys. We also have the earnings names in pre-market, so make sure you're keeping that one on watch too. Hey Prad, are you looking at AMD coming into daily resistance, or is that not the style of your trade? I mean, we just talked about that. So AMD, that support of 184 is something that I'm watching. I mean, you could call this a daily resistance of like what, 194, 193.50. I don't really consider this whole price action of any sort of resistance in my opinion. Yeah, you could actually do this. Let me go to the 60-minute time frame, turn off regular trading hours. So you could kind of see this area over here is a little bit of a resistance. I don't really respect this area at all as a resistance in my opinion. I think the top opens up on the stock well above here easily, and we can push into whatever this high is. Above that high, I will respect a little bit of that area, and then above that, the only area I'm respecting is all the way here. This zone is obviously just considered of this. So for me, those are the zones I'm watching into the highs. But overall, with how bullish the stock is trading going into the whole move over here, we struggled at this previous resistance, right? This is a 60-minute time frame. The daily chart kind of looks pretty similar, but on the 60-minute time frame, you can see how the stock struggled at 184.50, 185. We break out eventually, pull back, and that earnings anchored VWAP and the same previous resistance is now turning into support. So I'm picturing something like this. We go here, we pull back, find support here for us to play off of, or we go here, find support to play off of over here, or we go here, break down for us to get short off of, and something like that. And the same thing over here, looking for a nice little top over here to get short off of, or looking for a nice little top over here for us to get long into, and another opportunity breakout upside. But so far, I don't really respect this little consolidation into 196. I think if we do break 194, we're easily going to 193 on AMD, whose ATR is $9. Yes, that's what I mean, fighting spots in that 180 area. Thanks. Yeah, no problem, man. I think 184.50 to 185 is a good spot on AMD to keep an eye out for the intraday trading, for the day traders and so on. So keep an eye out to see how the stock trades in there. If you can find some good longs, awesome. If not, then even more downside we go. Even more downside. I started trading SOL meme coins. Solana. Damn, girl. Solana, hey, yeah, up 0.53% after hours over here right now. BTC USD kind of pulled back to 63K if I remember. Back to 67K now. So BTC doesn't want to stop the hype train. The hype train is back up on play. Adobe being mentioned in the stock. Let's go see how Adobe is doing. Nice little pullback on Adobe off the earnings. We kind of read the earnings live on stream for you guys. We noticed that was a pretty big drop on Friday off the earnings report. Nice little recovery over here, but I think we might see some rejections back into these areas if Adobe does pop there. Pretty expensive stock, but very more liquid, way more liquid than S&PS for a stock that's almost the same price. So possible trades over here. I think I'm, however, going to be a little bit turned off on this stock until it goes into that 520 area. I think I don't really want to make a decision off of today's candles. Plus, I easily think today's candle is going to be used as the inside day tomorrow on Adobe. Usually when they make these big moves, they kind of do nothing the second day, but I'll keep it on watch. Thank you for bringing it up. I did not have Adobe on my watch list at all. I'll add it right above AMD over here. Add above AMD. Hello, ADBE. Pull up my tracker. What is Adobe's ATR? $20. $20, lot of money. So Adobe, pretty interesting move over here. Let's actually fix a couple of our indicators that we want to see, which is today's high, today's low. We want to bring in that bad boy here, and we want to quickly go back to the 5-minute chart, bring my orange line here. And there we go. Now we watch how the stock behaves when it goes higher into today's high and a little bit above today's high into this previous low on ADBE. But that's pretty much our watch list for today. We have our main stocks for tomorrow before the earnings come out, and then our earnings stocks also on board. A little bit less interested for those earnings stocks, to be honest. XPEV and TME don't really excite me. CNM really excites me. CNM really excite me. Once again, let me show you the economic calendar for tomorrow. We got the building permits, like I mentioned early. Housing starts, okay. 52-week bull auction, not important at all. Atlanta Fed GDP number, possibly a good time to see how the market moves off of that indication. 20-year bond, that's pretty important. TLT, 20-year bond, 30-year bond, 10-year bond. So you're watching the 1 o'clock number for without fail. That will move the market most likely if it comes out of the expectation. So Tuesday, 1 o'clock, pretty important time to keep an eye out for as to what the market might do. We have IPOs coming out very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Astera Labs IPO coming up on the 20th of March. That is on Wednesday, FOMC day, right? Usually when the IPO opens up, they open up around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. So it's gonna suck to see this one come right around 2 o'clock or so. Hopefully they come out a little bit earlier. It is a NASDAQ stock, so ALAB will be the ticker. We'll talk about this one a little bit more in depth tomorrow, but keeping this one on the radar for you. Also, along with that, putting RDDT on the radar. You guys know what RDDT is. Reddit, baby. Watching that one. And then Auna kind of standing out real quick. 500 million offer amount might be something there, but overall we only were looking for A Labs and Reddit at the moment, both of which we'll talk about very more in depth going forward tomorrow and the day after. But keep ready for, because IPO season getting a little fun for us. It's usually only 1 or 2 days, and then it's gonna die right back down. But let's get excited for it as it shows up. Now let's go take a look at the FOMC expected value. They're saying 99% expected to. That's the current. Yeah, okay. We're at the current. Okay, yeah. 99.99%. Well, we're saying 99% at the moment. 99% is expected that the hikes will not continue, but we will also not cut the rate. So we're going to keep the rate steady at 525 and 550. But we have 1% expectation, mainly because Papa Powell has already said that we're not going to cut it before May. So, however, 1% of the market is pricing in that we might actually get a surprise cut. Here is a little bit more of an expectation for what might be coming forward. We're expecting now May to not also get cut. 91% of the market is not expecting May to get cut. If Papa Powell kind of comes into that kind of statement, the market might not move because we're already expecting 91%. But if Papa says, you know, we're going to hold it up steady until July, we're gonna not even cut June, that's gonna be even worse for the market, because the market was originally pricing in a cut for May based on his original words, but now the market's kind of getting ready for not a cut in May either. If he says we're not gonna cut in June and we're gonna wait till July, that's gonna change the whole dynamic, and the market might just trigger a little bit of a downwards move. So be careful to see what Papa Powell says at the 2:30. The way his tonality, is he hawkish, is he dovish, how does he get baited into the questions, and how does he handle those questions? All of those things will be very important on the 20th March, 2:30 p.m. So very fun day over there. I think the market will bring in some volatility if we get out of the expected answers from Papa Powell over here. So I'm very excited for that one. Now, as I mentioned, we do have a video to watch. We're gonna watch a video from Investors Underground and learn something from here. But before we do that, actually no, I'll save that for the end of the stream. I'll save that one for the end of the stream. But this is over here, which is the next step. So let's go check it out. Pause the music. I forgot what this even. Okay, how to trade bullish trend reversal patterns. Interesting. Let's go find out.
In today's
Holy
video,
moly, that's loud. All right.
we're going to take a look at two similar trading patterns. They're both reversal patterns that have to do with buying a stock after it's been sold off and it bounces. Now, the first one of these is called a bounce trade, and this is a short-term bounce after a stock has dropped. And the second is a full trend reversal trade, and that's more of a swing trade or something done on a longer time frame. In this video, we're going to explore both of these patterns, show you what to look for, what to avoid, where to set your stop, where to potentially take profits, and several other things too. So before we begin, we need to define what a bounce trade and what a trend reversal trade is. So a bounce trade is a short-term trade that has to do with buying a stock after a sharp sell-off, and then we see signs of a reversal or signs of a bounce. Now, this is key that we don't want to anticipate the bounce, but we want to wait for confirmation of a bounce and then participate in the snapback. The reason why a trade like this works
What's
is
up,
because
Shaky
after
Trades?
a stock has been sold off for several days,
It's time for a
several
Zen
weeks,
and a
many
class.
times the positioning becomes so bearish that the first time it starts to actually tick up, it has an outsized move to the upside because of short positioning and other positioning. So even though that this bounce trade might not last, and it might be a quick bounce and then it might stall and then start to fade back off to the downside, we can still capitalize on that bounce if it is positioned enough to be a dramatic bounce. The second setup that we're going to look at is a trend reversal trade. And that is a stock that has been sold off for several months or even up to a year based on certain bearish variables. And then when those variables change and the stock starts to make higher lows and possibly reverses the entire downtrend into a new uptrend. We're going to take a look at examples and show you both of these reversal trades.
I have a question for Tim
Before
Pratt.
we begin our discussion, I need to remind you that I'm not a financial advisor, and these are not buy or sell recommendations. This is for informational and educational purposes only. So if we want to participate in either of these types of reversal patterns, there's one thing that we need to remember, and that is we need to stick to rules.
That's my first time hearing it called
Trend
Shuggy.
reversal
I've heard
trades can be
lip
tricky
pillows.
and risky if
I've
they
heard
are not
upper
done
deckies.
in a safe way that follows rules. One of these first rules is
Forgive
that
me, Lord,
a stock
for have
has
sinned.
never gone too low.
Never
And
a
what that
Shuggy.
means is that even if we see a stock that has been down
Learning something new.
significantly, even over weeks, months, days, it doesn't really matter, it can always go lower under the right circumstances. We don't want to anticipate these reversals because we could get caught in what's called a falling knife, or a stock that just keeps on dropping and dropping, taking anyone who tries to do a bounce trade or a trend reversal trade down with it. What we want to do is look for a clear sign that the trend is turning or reversing.
When I see MSTR go parabolic, I wonder, another sign of excess.
In the bounce,
yes, and Santa Claus can
reversal.
finally come down the chin.
Another rule is that we need a fixed stop loss.
Yeah,
on
MSTR
this kind
is
of
obviously
trade.
crazy.
This can either be a hard
it's gonna
stop
set up for a
or
good
mental
short
stop,
very quickly.
but it needs to be a firm level that once it breaks, we are out. We are not going to risk getting dragged down with a stock that is not ready to bounce yet. Another key rule to remember is that a little bit too late of an entry is better than a little bit too early of an entry with reversal trades. Again, we're not trying to anticipate the turn, we're trying to observe the turn and then join that trend higher.
Right.
So the first example that we have for a bounce trade is the stock MARA. This is a Bitcoin mining stock, and it usually closely follows the price of Bitcoin. So what we've seen over the last couple of months is a significant run up higher in Bitcoin. And so a lot of the mining stocks have followed because their profits are based on the price that Bitcoin trades at, and that determines their profit margins. So you can see on this monthly chart that the stock has run up from about the $10 mark all the way up to the $30 mark. And then we had the news with the Bitcoin ETF getting approved, and then the stock started to consolidate, and then it started to form a downtrend. And so this really sold off hard after that news came out, and it made a multi-day leg lower. So one of the first things that we want to look for when we're looking at a trend reversal trade,
like what AMD is doing right now,
significantly bounce, is we want a stock that's been sold off heavily.
Kind of like what AMD is doing right now on the daily chart. Multi-day leg low after making a nice little run up, breaking out and everything. And that's why I brought up AMD to you. That's not the page. Here we are.
Not just a stock that's been sold off a couple of percentage points, but a stock that has been beaten down and position has gotten more and more bearish over the days. And so if you look at MARA, you can see that it dropped from that 28 level all the way down to about 1460, 1450. And so what we can see is there's a support line on this chart at that 1460 level. And you can see that that has been a historical and significant point of support for this stock over the last month. And so as we're looking at a stock that has been trending downwards, getting sold off, and the positioning is getting more and more bearish,
we're just making zin.
We want to anticipate what level it could potentially start to bounce at. So we don't want to anticipate the bounce itself,
No.
but we want to anticipate what areas to look for a potential sign of a reversal or a bounce trade. So in this case, it is that 1460 level. And again, these levels don't need to be exactly precise. Could have been 1450, 1430, anywhere within a 20 or 30 cent range is okay. Now here's the intraday view of MARA on the day that we decided to
That's exactly what we're looking to see on AMD tomorrow. Nice little pullback into that 184s. And then,
you can see that that 1460 level is carried over from the monthly
or
chart,
even on DKS. DKS pulls back to that 208 area.
Level of support. And so as the stock was selling off up to 10% on this particular day, you can see that it went down and just about touched.
Or even Dell. Level. Now with that news that we have on Dell,
this doesn't have to be super precise, so it might have gone a little bit lower or it might have stayed a little bit above it. But we knew that it was a key area.
All the stocks that we talked about and all the stocks that are number 1, 2, and 3 on our playlist tomorrow.
As the stock was selling off this day, it was on bad news. The stock was going down, and then suddenly Bitcoin decided to have somewhat of a reversal itself. So Bitcoin looked like it was going to break down that day, but then that reversed. And since that is a key variable for MARA, we could look for not only the support to hold, but also for the trend to potentially reverse.
So I'm guessing he's getting long right here at 1480. Your stop is under 1460 or 1450, and your risk is what, 30 cents, maybe even less depending on where your entry is. And your reward is way more than 30 cents.
And so what we were looking for was the first signs of the trend to turn.
But you don't anticipate the long, like you don't just have your order sitting at 1460, 1470 because I know there's a level at 1460. The stock has to bounce off of that level. No, the market never has to do anything. But you watch, you're patient, you're waiting for that level to come into play. You're seeing the buyers are setting up. You're seeing the buyers are stepping it back up. You're watching the level 2. You're watching the time of sales. And then you can join the party once the trend has been confirmed. The right side of the V almost, right? Kind of, I guess you could call it the right side of the V pattern too. You wait for that buyers to step back in, an actionable stop. When the stock is going down, having your buy orders here, just kind of guessing that it will hold 1460, and it does, woohoo, yeah, you got paid for your gamble. You know, buy a lottery ticket after you got paid for your gamble over there. But the smart traders, the people who are taking the biggest size on this long, they're waiting for that turn. Now they might have had like a alert order, like a 10 share order or something, but then once that stock confirms that idea for them, this is where they're punching their longs, and you can see how that big volume candle kind of comes in and confirms my theory. Big buyers are coming in here. They're not coming in on the way down. These are buyers who are coming in and getting burnt, coming in over here on this double bottom, getting burnt. Their stops are getting triggered. Then you got some more buyers coming in. Their stops are getting triggered. Then afterwards, where the stock shows some buying, you're seeing more buyers step in, big volume, reversal through VWAP, and a whole new move. So this is where you kind of want to build your long with an actionable stop over there.
Downtrend into an uptrend. And so what you see if you look at this V-shaped pattern on the chart is on the left-hand
V-shape,
side
I just called it.
You'll see lower highs, consolidation, and then lower lows. And this is a classic sign of a
Oh,
reversal.
that's also a nice little Bella scalp. Bella scalp. You're taking the trend of that break, but also you can wait for that trend to come in and then wait for that trend to actually show a nice little higher low. The trend breaks, a higher low comes in.
Pattern possibly taking shape for a bounce. And so we have a sharp sell-off until it ends in what's called a capitulation. And a capitulation is actually a term that means a formal surrender. So you can think about it as longs formally surrendering from this stock. So anyone who was trading it or anyone who was bullish on it has finally stopped out. And so at the same time that that is happening, you usually have people who are bearish adding to their positions. And so that means that at the exact same time that there are less longs in there, there are more shorts in there. And that means that the stock is vulnerable to a bounce as those shorts
and
get
most
off.
of those shorts, whoever got shorts over here or at the low a day, some of their stops are right there. Some of their stops are at the high of that green candle. So once that green candle breaks, that's more stops on the shorts getting blown out and a little bit more volume coming in for the long side, helping your trade.
Size and their positioning has to unwind, and that causes a bounce. And so if you look at the right side of this V shape now, you can see that the stock starts to base and it starts to make higher lows, and the trend continues and it ramps above VWAP. So I'm going to pull up the next screen that will show trend lines that can help us to identify where this turn occurred and where we could potentially set our stop loss.
Oh.
And so really the signs that we're looking for a bounce trade like this is a stock that has been sold off more than normal, it has extended range to the downside, it has increased volume, and it finally capitulates or formally surrenders on the long side. And that happens exactly at the same point as shorts and people who are bearish on the stock are fully positioned. And that dynamic of formal capitulation into a support level while shorts are offsides.
I'm guessing his target was the length of this. Well, that doesn't really make sense. That doesn't really make sense.
Bounce more often than not. And so we can use these trend levels or these trend lines to keep us on track. On the left side of the V, we can see that the resistance is holding underneath
What's
that
up,
trend line.
Dieter?
And on the right side of that V, we can see the stock basing and holding above that trend line. But if the stock were to stall out or to break that trend, then we could consider either raising our stop.
It was good watching this video today because this is exactly the setup we are looking for on AMD, on DKS, on Dell.
Is that
perfect.
The left side of the V, that trend line is now broken as the stock ramps up a little bit. And now we draw that right side of the V where the support now holds the new trend line, and we can base our entrance off of that area where those areas cross at that 1480 level, and we can set our stop just below that support at 1460. And so these are the signs to look for in this particular trade, where we are risking 20 cents in order to make a potential $1.20 per share.
There you go.
6-to-1 reward to risk
Beauty.
On a 50% or higher probable trade. So now let's take a look at a full trend reversal trade. And a great example of this is the stock Meta, which went through a very sharp and long drawdown, and then it made a huge reversal once the management signaled key changes to the company. And so we can see a similar shape of that V on the left side downtrending and on the right side uptrending. And so while with a bounce trade, we're looking for a one-day event or a couple hours or even a few minutes, it's usually more of a swing pattern that can help traders to make a long-term bet on a company that is trending in their direction. And so let's take the same concept of using those trend lines for a bounce trade and let's apply them to a full reversal trade off the lows. So we can see the same concept at work, where on the left side of that V, you see the stock
this is like
making
more of a
lower
swing
highs
trade
and
idea.
lower lows while holding
but you can even like
a resistance
wait
line.
for that to
And
come
then
in on a
that
day
right
trade,
side,
like on
what
that
you
day
see
over
is
here,
higher highs
on that day over
and
there,
higher lows, which
something
signal
like
a
that.
trend change. Now, the same area where we would potentially enter on a bounce trade is similar to the area that we would potentially enter on a full reversal trade. If you look at where those trend lines intersect and make an X, that is roughly the area where I would be interested in potentially making a long bet on a company. And so what you want to do is have a fixed area where you could potentially get in, and then a fixed stop, which is somewhere tightly under that X. And so it could potentially be at that $100 mark, or it could be much tighter depending on a trader's preference. So sometimes people use low of day as their stop out point, and some people might give it a wider stop if they're making a longer term bet and they're willing to take that increased risk.
Yeah.
And so again, what we want to do is if we are risking a certain amount on our position, then we want to make sure that the reward is worth that risk. So if a full trend reversal plays out perfectly, we should have some kind of symmetrical move from the downside or the downtrend to the upside over time. Now, of course, this doesn't always happen, and we have to make sure that we are using our trend lines, our stops, and taking our overall situation into account. But in a perfect world, we can see that this example would have worked beautifully with two trend lines and using those as our guides to enter, to potentially stop out if we needed to, and then to hold a trend and ride it for a long period of time as the stock recovered. So full reversal trends are a bit different than bounce trades in a few ways. The key variables may differ for a full reversal trend. And so with a company where you're taking fundamentals into account, such as Meta, you need to look at what were the driving reasons why the stock was selling off in the first place. And it was a combination of the market in general was downtrending, but also the company had just pivoted from its old business to a new business which did not have much free cash flow and did not have very bright prospects, and the market hammered them for that. And so until the management said that they are pivoting back to a more free cash flow positive business model, the stock was in a downtrend. But once management made that announcement and combined with the technicals and the trend lines, that was the sign that the trend was fully reversing, and a trader or a swing trader could have potentially tried to participate in a long trade. So we've taken a look at two successful trades. One
Small
as a bounce
cap,
trade
here we go.
in MARA, and the other as a trend reversal trade in META. But now we're going to take a look at a stock that you do not want to try this kind of pattern on.
Okay,
and so
good.
this stock, CHSN, was a China liquidation play. Certain stocks like CHSN are not appropriate for traders to use for either bounce trades or full trend reversal trades. And the reason for that is that China liquidation trades like this are companies where the insiders own 70 or 80% of the float, and what they do is they toy with the stock for several months and they bid it up and they trap shorts until there's eventually some kind of a short squeeze, and then the insiders dump all of their stock at once. And what happens with these China liquidation trades is that they can fall anywhere from 75 to 85% in a single day, and many times in just a few candles. So what happens is that once there's enough volume for the insiders to try to dump their holdings, they will sell them off in giant clips, and that usually causes a halt down. And now what you do not want to do as a bounce trader or a trend reversal trader is try to buy a stock off the lows if it is at risk of halting down. And so with these China liquidation trades, they are a nightmare for any kind of strategy involving bounce trades. So if we want to avoid any very risky stocks or very risky setups, we want to avoid China liquidation trades for bounce plays. And if you're not able to recognize these China liquidation trades, then I recommend you join a community like Investors Underground, where you have all the leaders in there keeping track of these types of trades and knowing what to avoid and what to participate in. So I hope that this video has been useful to you in both identifying and potentially learning how to trade both bounce trades like MARA and also full trend.
That was good, guys. That was good.
Like
that was good because that's gonna help us tomorrow a lot with Dell, with DKS, with AMD. DKS not really in that exact same playbook as Mara that he just showed you. But DKS was I'm gonna use that one on AMD. See if we can find a nice little bounce on AMD off this 184.50. See if we can find a beautiful bounce on Dell tomorrow, especially with this whole Nvidia catalyst. So that was a good video. Shout out to the boys over at Investor Underground. They have their own little chat group and everything. If you want to go check them out, go check out Investors Underground, and they are amazing as small caps. Amazing as small caps. AMD, nothing sells and pumps like it. It's like Tesla for poor options trader, says Doom Lord. What's up, Doom Lord? David Fabian asking Prad, this might be a chance for me to ask. You mentioned you've been graduated at Real Trading, watching. Yeah, that's what they call it now, eh? I'm still calling it Day Trade the World. Nah, yeah, Real Trading Prop. Is that what they call themselves now? Yeah. Watching Sean and Neil in Toronto, do you think there is a chance to do an internship or apply myself? I'm not sure how it works exactly if you are not in Canada. If you are from Germany, I don't think you will be able to do an internship unless you move to Canada or Toronto and then actually apply to work there. You will not be able to apply first and then kind of try to get that visa or that partnership or whatever. So first you have to be in Toronto, and then you have to apply once you're in Toronto to see if there's any open seats. If there's any open seats, obviously you'll be allowed to come in and trade with the floor. In terms of that campus stuff that they talk about, I don't really know how that campus thing works. I think for that also you need to be in Toronto. So obviously you might want to email them directly if you are outside of Toronto in regards to how could you be part of the whole real trading prop and so on. I think there might be another opportunity for you through that, but I don't think it will work for you if you're not in Toronto on that side. But in regards to the other question, if there is a chance, I mean, look, there is a statistic that says 90% of the traders lose 90% of their money within 90 days. So the fact that I'm still here after 90 days is probably a good thing. But it's a hard job, man. It's a hard job. It's not easy. Every day you're learning. You're learning how to manage yourself, learning how to manage your emotions, if you don't know what you're doing, then it's a very very lonely job too, where if you don't have mentors like I do, if you don't have resources like we currently watch on YouTube every single day or try to, it's really hard. So you got to put in a lot of work. Some might say it's easier to just go work a 50K job somewhere else, but that's not what we're here for, right? We're here for the dream, we're here for the glory, and we'll keep fighting for it until we get it. That's the point. In terms of can you do it? I mean, that's up to you, my friend. That's really up to you. I used to trade like that a lot, says Doom Lord. Hopefully you don't anymore, and that's the point. We don't want to be trading like that garbage trades anymore. Let's change up our game. We keep watching these videos, elevating ourselves every single day by 1% keep getting better than we were yesterday. So far my month is on fire, but hopefully let's keep it that way and not set the month on fire by completely turning it to red. We have done that before, where we take the hype from 1 month start and go completely turn that beautiful month to red in just few trades. So let's keep that hype going, but let's keep the risk management and all the right opportunities at the right spot. I'm very excited to see how Dell, AMD, and DKS, I know I've said this a million times already, set up tomorrow, but keep in mind going into Tuesday into FOMC, usually the market doesn't too much. Think with Bookmap. I noticed I've been getting a lot of viewers from your area, from Toronto. Really? Ooh, that's pretty surprising because none of them are from my area when they're watching my stream. What the hell? So bring them my way so I can talk to them a little bit and slap them up as to why they're not hitting the subscribe and follow buttons and all of that. No, but yeah, for everyone's here, hit the like, hit the subscribe, please. It would do a lot of help for me in the whole YouTube algorithm stuff. If you enjoyed this whole hour, make sure you come back tomorrow. We're streaming Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. without a fail. I was supposed to stream Sunday, but I got a little too hungover. I just slept all Sunday, did not wake up at all, was in my bed completely. Listen to William Montgomery. For those of you know what that is, William Montgomery's Kill Tony stand-up parts or stand-up bits from that Kill Tony thing. Speaking of which, Kill Tony should actually be coming up right now, so I can't wait to end the stream, go get some dinner, watch Kill Tony, go to bed, and then get ready for my first day of the week, which will be tomorrow. I wish you guys an amazing night and an even better market day tomorrow. Actually, wait a second. The stream's not over yet. The stream is not over yet. I have one thing left to do here. Let's come back. We got a song to listen to. Our friend Dieter made us a song because we were complaining about it. How do I pull this up? There we go. You know what? Yeah, save it there. Let's check out this beat that Dieter made for us. And then we can end the stream on this one.
TraderPrad.
Oh shit.
TraderPrad, he's here.
He's here. Okay. First reaction. That's a lie. Second reaction, but first proper reaction. It's got the Indian flair to it. It's a 2-minute long beat, so just give him some time over there. But a nice little outro beat we got going from our own little community. That's awesome. Dieter, man of many talents. This guy can do Photoshop stuff. He can do pictures for you. He can do I think web design too, he said. I don't know. I think he said he does web design stuff too. And he can make beats now. We're going full Bollywood with the beat too, so that's right. I think we're gonna skip this beat a little bit over here. Dieter, that middle part over there, that's a little bit too long in my opinion. That part could have been filled with some extra stuff, but okay.
TraderPrad, he's here.
Now we got the scratch going. The scratches.
Trade like that every single day. Playbook. Monster moves on the QQQ.
Monster moves on the QQQ.
And other positions too, all across the board. Magnificent 7 also had a
Magnificent 7. You can never leave the Magnificent 7 out of your watch list.
Basket get destroyed.
Get destroyed.
Trade off. Get ready for the
Alright, that beat's sick. This is gonna be the outro, guys. Thank you everybody for coming in once again. Have a great night. Have an even better market session. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Catch you then. Peace.
After the after hours with your host TraderPrad, I'm doing great. Hopefully you guys are joining me on that great side. Markets are moving around. Might just be a risk on type of day, so let's see what happens. 8 o'clock tomorrow, as you guys know, we do the stream Monday to Thursday, 8 p.m. Shout out to my affiliate sponsors, Benzinga, Trade Ideas, the #1 scanner to go to, Trader Sync, promo code down below, promo code PRAD15 to get 15% off. I will catch you guys tomorrow, 8 o'clock, same time, same place. Until then, TraderPrad out. Adios.